Some phrases don't sound dangerous at all. In fact, they often sound normal, casual, even caring. But over time, those same words can slowly erode your confidence, your independence, and your peace of mind. If you're over 60, recognizing these patterns early isn't just helpful, it can protect your emotional well-being and your quality of life. Today, we're breaking down 13 phrases that may signal deeper relationship problems and what they could really mean beneath the surface. Before we start, a quick note. This video is not about blaming or labeling anyone, it's about awareness. Because sometimes the difference between a healthy relationship and a harmful one isn't obvious at first. It reveals itself through patterns, tone, and repeated language over time. Let's get into it. And why are you talking to them? At first glance, this might sound like curiosity or even concern, but when this question comes up repeatedly, especially with tension or suspicion behind it, it can signal the beginning of control. Over time, this kind of questioning can shift from occasional curiosity into subtle monitoring. You may start noticing that your interactions are being watched, judged, or even discouraged. For many older adults, social connections are essential for emotional health. When someone begins to question or limit who you talk to, it can slowly isolate you, sometimes without you even realizing it. A healthy relationship allows space for friendships and independence. When that space starts shrinking, it's worth paying attention. 2. You're overreacting. This phrase often appears during disagreements. On the surface, it may seem like an attempt to calm things down, but it can also dismiss your feelings entirely. When someone repeatedly tells you that your reactions are too much, it can lead you to question your own emotions. Over time, this may create self-doubt, where you begin to second-guess your instincts and suppress how you truly feel. In emotionally healthy relationships, both partners are allowed to express themselves, even if they don't always agree. Being told you're overreacting once might not mean much, but hearing it consistently, that's a pattern that deserves attention. 3. I was just joking. Humor is important in relationships, but sometimes it becomes a shield. When hurtful comments are followed by, "I was just joking," it can blur the line between playfulness and disrespect. You might feel uncomfortable, but also unsure whether you're allowed to feel that way. Over time, this dynamic can normalize subtle put-downs. What starts as small jokes may slowly chip away at your confidence, especially if your discomfort is dismissed each time. A good rule of thumb: if the joke only works when one person feels smaller, it may not be harmless after all. 4. You wouldn't understand. This phrase creates distance, quietly but effectively. It can make you feel excluded from conversations, decisions, or emotional experiences. Over time, it may signal a lack of respect for your perspective or life experience. For individuals over 60, this can feel especially frustrating. You've lived, learned, and experienced more than most. Being dismissed like this can feel invalidating. Healthy relationships are built on inclusion, not quiet exclusion. 5. It's not a big deal. This phrase often minimizes something that is a big deal to you. When concerns are consistently brushed off, it can create a pattern where your needs feel less important. You may stop bringing things up altogether simply to avoid being dismissed. Over time, this leads to emotional distance, not because you don't care, but because you feel unheard. Respect isn't just about big gestures, it's also about taking small concerns seriously. 6. You're too sensitive. This is another phrase that can shift responsibility away from the speaker and onto you. Instead of addressing what was said or done, the focus becomes your reaction. This can make you feel like the problem, even when your feelings are valid. Repeated exposure to this dynamic can lead to emotional withdrawal. You may start holding back your thoughts, avoiding conflict, and disconnecting just to keep the peace. But real peace doesn't come from silence. It comes from mutual understanding. 7. That's just how I am. On the surface, this sounds like self-awareness, but when used to justify hurtful behavior, it can become a way to avoid growth and accountability. In long-term relationships, especially later in life, flexibility and emotional maturity matter more than ever. Everyone has habits, but healthy partners are willing to reflect and adapt when something causes harm. When change is dismissed entirely, the relationship can become one-sided. 8. Why can't you be more like? Comparison is rarely constructive in relationships. This phrase can make you feel inadequate, as if you're being measured against someone else's standards. Over time, it may impact your confidence and create unnecessary pressure to change who you are. At any stage of life, but especially after 60, relationships should feel like a place of acceptance, not competition. 9. I don't care anymore. This is one of the most telling phrases, not because of what it says, but because of what it represents. It often signals emotional withdrawal, a point where effort, empathy, or engagement has faded. When someone expresses indifference repeatedly, it can create a deep sense of loneliness, even when you're not physically alone. Emotional connection is the foundation of any meaningful relationship. When it disappears, the relationship often struggles to survive. 10. You always mess things up. This kind of language shifts from addressing behavior to attacking identity. Instead of focusing on a specific situation, it labels you as the problem. Over time, this can affect how you see yourself, especially if repeated frequently. Constructive feedback is specific and respectful. Generalized criticism like this often does more harm than good. 11. If you really cared, you would. This phrase introduces emotional pressure. It can make you feel like your actions are constantly being tested or judged. Instead of open communication, it creates expectations tied to guilt. Healthy relationships don't rely on emotional ultimatums. They rely on honest conversations. 12. You're imagining things. This can create confusion and self-doubt. When your observations or concerns are repeatedly dismissed, you may begin to question your own perception of reality. Clarity and trust are essential in any relationship. When those are replaced with doubt, the emotional foundation becomes unstable. 13. Do whatever you want. At first, this may sound like freedom, but often it's said with frustration or detachment, not genuine support. It can signal disengagement, where one partner is no longer invested in decision-making or shared responsibility. True partnership involves collaboration, not quiet withdrawal. Thank you for watching. Remember, peace, respect, and emotional safety are not too much to ask. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.